The Boeing 727 was introduced in the 1960s to serve short and medium-range commercial routes globally. Driven by three rear-mounted Pratt & Whitney JT8D engines, its low-altitude departures generated an aggressive acoustic roar around 115 to 120 EPNdB, making it a notably loud early trijet. The Saab 37 Viggen was engineered by Sweden during the Cold War as a formidable cold-weather strike fighter. Driven by a modified airliner engine equipped with a massive afterburner, its low-altitude sprints and quick engine bursts produced sound levels reaching between 140 and 145 decibels. The English Electric Lightning was developed by Great Britain in the 1950s as a high-speed point defense interceptor. Featuring two vertically stacked Rolls-Royce Avon afterburning turbojets, it generated acoustic levels reaching 145 decibels, famous for its roaring raw vertical climbs. The Mikoyan Gurevich MiG-21 was introduced in the late 1950s as a lightweight supersonic interceptor for the Soviet Union. Driven by a single high-pressure afterburning turbojet, it created an intense engine scream, reaching 140 to 145 decibels, remaining a staple of mid-century jet power. The Mikoyan MiG-25 Foxbat was built by the Soviet Union to intercept high-altitude supersonic threats at speeds near Mach 3. Powered by two massive Tumansky R-15 turbojet engines, its raw exhaust velocity produced acoustic shockwaves reaching 145 decibels during full military thrust climbs. The Boeing B-52 Stratofortress was developed in the 1950s as the primary heavy strategic nuclear bomber of the United States. Its early variants utilized 8 Pratt & Whitney J57 turbojets without modern noise damping, producing a deafening takeoff roar that reached around 145 decibels. The Convair B-58 Hustler was engineered in the 1950s as the first operational supersonic jet bomber capable of Mach 2 speed. Powered by 4 General Electric J79 afterburning turbojets mounted beneath its delta wing, it produced intense sound pressure reaching 150 decibels during high-speed ops. The North American XB-70 Valkyrie was designed in the 1960s as a high-altitude strategic bomber prototype built for Mach 3 cruise. Powered by 6 massive General Electric YJ93 afterburning turbojets, it generated over 180,000 pounds of thrust and sound pressure levels exceeding 150 decibels. The Boeing 707 was the iconic jetliner that ushered in the commercial jet age during the late 1950s. Powered by 4 early Pratt & Whitney JT3C turbojets, it generated noise levels around 114 to 120 EPNdB on takeoff, making it one of the loudest early passenger aircraft to fly before modern bypass engines. The Avro Vulcan was operated by the Royal Air Force as a high-altitude strategic delta-wing bomber during the Cold War. Powered by 4 Bristol Siddeley Olympus engines, it is famous for a loud aerodynamic intake roar that reaches up to 115 to 120 decibels during high-thrust airshow flybys and climbs. The Tupolev Tu-95 was designed during the Cold War as the strategic long-range nuclear bomber of the Soviet Union. Equipped with giant counter-rotating turboprops whose blade tips rotate at supersonic speeds, it produces an intense flyover roar above 135 decibels that submarine sonar arrays can detect underwater. The Tupolev Tu-144 was the Soviet supersonic transport designed to match Western civil aviation developments in the 1960s. Requiring continuous afterburner power during flight, it generated noise levels exceeding 120 EPNdB, creating severe acoustic shock inside the cabin and immense noise profiles on takeoff. The Concorde was the world's premier commercial supersonic airliner developed jointly by Britain and France. Driven by 4 afterburning Rolls-Royce Olympus engines, its takeoff noise reached a certified 119 EPNdB, making it a masterpiece of aviation engineering that faced strict airport acoustic curfews. The Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey was built as a versatile tiltrotor capable of vertical takeoffs and high-speed turboprop flight. Its massive twin prop rotors displace enormous volumes of air, creating a heavy low-frequency acoustic signature and rotor slap that reaches peak noise levels between 130 and 140 decibels. The Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor was introduced as the premier stealth air dominance fighter for the United States Air Force. Driven by 2 Pratt & Whitney F-119 afterburning engines, its full-power climbs produce noise levels between 140 and 145 decibels. The Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning II was introduced as a fifth-generation stealth multirole fighter for global air forces. Its single Pratt & Whitney F-135 engine is the most powerful operational fighter power plant in existence, generating noise levels between 140 and 145 decibels during full afterburner ops. The Boeing FA-18 Hornet was designed in the late 1970s as the primary multi-role combat aircraft for carrier aviation. Powered by twin afterburning General Electric turbofans, it generates up to 145 decibels at close range, creating intense acoustic power during military catapult launches and low passes. The Mikoyan MiG-29 was engineered by the Soviet Union as a highly maneuverable air defense fighter during the Cold War. Utilizing two Klimov RD-33 afterburning turbofans, it produces a distinct high-pitched engine scream, reaching 140 to 145 decibels when operating at full military power or low altitudes. The Sukhoi Su-35 was developed by Russia as an advanced air superiority fighter building on Cold War design heritage. Driven by twin Saturn thrust vectoring engines, it delivers intense sound pressure between 140 and 145 decibels, creating a deep low-frequency roar during high-alpha aerobatic displays. The Mikoyan MiG-31 Foxhound was built by the Soviet Union as a high-altitude supersonic interceptor during the 1970s. Powered by massive Soloviev D30F6 turbofans, it reaches speeds above Mach 2.8 and produces up to 145 decibels of sound pressure when utilizing full afterburner thrust on takeoff runs. The Sukhoi Su-27 flanker was created by the Soviet Union to counter heavy air superiority fighters of the late 20th century. Powered by dual Saturn AL-31F afterburning engines, its acoustic output reaches 145 decibels, generating a heavy low-frequency rumble during combat maneuvers and low flybys. The General Dynamics F-111 Aardvark was introduced as a variable sweep wing tactical strike bomber during the 1960s. Pioneering afterburning turbofan engines, it generated sound pressure levels reaching 145 decibels, famous for its dramatic dump and burn aerial displays that ignited jet fuel in flight. The McDonnell Douglas F-15 Eagle was designed in the 1970s as an undefeated air superiority fighter for the United States Air Force. Driven by twin Pratt & Whitney F-100 afterburning turbofans, it registers noise levels near 145 decibels on takeoff, delivering massive thrust to achieve supersonic climbs. The Panavia Tornado was developed jointly by European nations as a variable sweep wing interdictor and strike aircraft. Powered by twin RB-199 engines with unique thrust reversers, its full afterburner settings produce sound levels up to 150 decibels during low-altitude, high-speed terrain-following runs. The Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird was engineered as a high-altitude strategic reconnaissance aircraft capable of exceeding Mach 3. Driven by twin hybrid Pratt & Whitney J58 turbojets, its continuous afterburning performance generated up to 150 decibels of raw acoustic energy during heavy takeoff rolls. The Rockwell B-1B Lancer was developed as a supersonic variable sweep-wing strategic bomber during the Cold War era. Powered by four General Electric F-101 afterburning turbofans, it emits sound pressure up to 150 decibels, producing a thunderous low-frequency rumble during low-level terrain penetration. The McDonnell Douglas F-4 Phantom II was introduced in the late 1950s as a versatile supersonic interceptor and fighter bomber. Powered by twin General Electric J79 turbojets, its afterburners produced up to 150 decibels of sound, creating an unforgettable roar on carrier decks and military airfields. The Republic XF-84H Thunderscreech was built as an experimental turboprop fighter for the United States Air Force in the 1950s. Its continuous outer propeller blade tips rotated at Mach 1.18, producing an astounding 160 decibels of continuous sonic booms that nauseated ground crews nearly a mile away.